Have you ever poured your heart into someone only to watch them slowly fade away, retreating into silence, creating a distance where closeness once lived? Or maybe, just maybe, it's you. You're the one who takes a step back, the one who finds intimacy suffocating, even while secretly craving it. You want closeness, but something in you whispers that safety is found only in solitude. This paradox, this dance between desire and fear, is one of the most misunderstood experiences in human relationships. It is the story of avoidant attachment, the psychology of pushing people away, even when your heart aches to be held. On the surface, avoidance looks like indifference. Someone with this attachment style might appear cold, detached, uninterested. But look closer. Beneath the armor lies something very different, a history, a survival strategy, a blueprint the mind created long ago to protect against the pain of vulnerability. What seems like distance is often protection. What looks like rejection is often fear. And when we understand this hidden pattern, it reshapes the way we see ourselves and the way we see others. Most people think intimacy is optional, like a luxury. But psychology and pioneers like John Bowlby, the father of attachment theory, show us something far deeper. Connection is as vital as air, food, and water. It is not optional. It is fundamental. As children, we learn what love feels like from our caregivers. If comfort is consistently available, the nervous system learns. Closeness is safe. But if comfort is inconsistent, absent, or overwhelming, the child's mind adapts. It whispers, "To survive, I must depend less. I must appear strong. I must turn inward instead of outward." And thus, avoidant attachment is born, not as weakness, but as brilliance, as the most ingenious survival mechanism a child can create. But here's the tragedy. What once kept you safe becomes the very thing that keeps you isolated. What once protected you in childhood leaves you lonely in adulthood. As an adult, avoidance appears in subtle but powerful ways. You may feel uneasy when someone gets too close, even when closeness is what you want most. You may avoid deep conversations, dismiss feelings, or cling to independence so tightly that relationships begin to feel like prisons. You might even push people away, not because you don't care, but because caring feels dangerous. This is what psychologists call the approach-avoidance conflict, the tug-of-war between longing for intimacy and fearing it at the same time. Imagine standing on the edge of the ocean. Part of you wants to dive in, to feel held by the water, to be surrounded. Another part fears drowning, fears losing yourself in the waves. And so you stand there yearning, yet retreating. That is what avoidant attachment feels like on the inside. But why does this happen to some and not to others? The answer lies in early experiences. If reaching out for love was met with rejection, withdrawal, or emotional coldness, a child learns, if I need, I'll be let down. If I open up, I'll be hurt. So they stop reaching. They bury their needs so deeply they nearly forget they exist. Independence becomes not just strength, but armor. And yet neuroscience reveals something fascinating. Even those with avoidant tendencies still carry the same biological drive for connection. The body craves closeness. The nervous system responds to warmth, touch, eye contact. But the mind, conditioned by survival, shouts, retreat, control, detach. It's like living with two voices, one whispering, come closer, and the other screaming, stay safe. If you've ever been close to someone avoidant, you've felt this push-pull. One moment they're present, open, deeply engaged. The next they vanish into silence, building walls you can't see. It's not random. It's their attachment system activating, protecting them from the terrifying vulnerability of depending on another human being. But what happens when this plays out in love? Imagine being with someone who treasures you, but fears the very closeness you offer. Imagine longing for intimacy, but panicking when it finally arrives. This contradiction breeds confusion, miscommunication, heartbreak. The avoidant partner may feel guilt for withdrawing, but also terror at surrendering control. The other partner may feel invisible, unloved, not realizing the distance has nothing to do with their worth. It is fear disguised as detachment. And isn't that something we all experience in some form? Don't we all, in our own ways, push away what we secretly long for? The avoidant style simply magnifies this universal paradox. But here's the hope. Attachment styles are not life sentences. They are patterns, and patterns can be reshaped. The first step is awareness. To recognize avoidance for what it is, not coldness, not cruelty, but a defense. Avoidant individuals often carry immense strengths: independence, resilience, resourcefulness. These were born of necessity, but beneath that armor is a quiet ache for connection, and healing begins the moment that ache is acknowledged. Psychologists speak of earned, secure attachment, a place where, through reflection, self-awareness, and safe relationships, people begin to shift toward greater security. This doesn't mean becoming someone else. It means learning that closeness doesn't have to equal danger. It means letting intimacy grow at your own pace, discovering that vulnerability isn't weakness, it is the birthplace of love. Think about it. The walls we build to protect ourselves are the same walls that keep love out. The armor we wear keeps us safe, but it also keeps us alone. And life is not about avoiding pain. It's about daring to love, even knowing the risk of loss. Because love is always a risk, but so is isolation. Avoidant attachment is not a flaw. It is a story written in childhood, revised in adulthood, and carried into every relationship, friendship, and career. And like any story, it can be rewritten. The pen is still in your hand. So ask yourself, what would happen if you stopped retreating? If you stayed one moment longer in the presence of closeness? What would happen if dependence wasn't weakness, but courage? Because in the end, we are not built to walk through life untouched, unseen, unloved. We are built for connection, and though avoidant attachment whispers, stay safe, stay distant, your heart already knows the truth. Healing begins the moment you allow yourself to be held. But avoidance isn't only about fear, it's also about identity. For many, independence becomes sacred. The idea of needing someone feels like betrayal of the self. They've built their identity around strength, control, self-sufficiency. To let someone in feels like surrender. And yet, beneath that strength lives a quieter truth. Even the strongest long to be known, to be loved without condition. This contradiction can feel like a war within. The voice of freedom saying, "Don't depend," and the voice of longing whispering, "Please don't leave me alone." If you've lived this, you know how exhausting it is. You withdraw when someone gets too close. You feel irritation at their presence, only to feel loneliness when they're gone. You rationalize the distance. "I'm too busy, I'm not ready," when deep down, you're guarding the rawest part of yourself. And if you've loved someone avoidant, you've felt the sting of mixed signals. One day they let you in, and you feel the wall crumble. The next, they vanish. It feels personal, but it's not. Their nervous system was wired long ago to see closeness as danger. And until that wiring shifts, the cycle repeats. But here's the gift. Cycles are not destiny. The brain is plastic. New experiences, safe, consistent, patient love, can rewire old patterns. Step by step, the walls soften. It's not fast and it's not easy, but it's possible. And avoidance doesn't only shape romance. It seeps into friendships, careers, even success. The avoidant person may keep friendships at surface level, avoid collaboration, and even struggle to share joy, because closeness, even in happiness, feels foreign. It's not that they don't care. It's that showing care openly feels unsafe. And yet, they care deeply. They love fiercely, though often silently. Sometimes the one who seems most distant is the one who will quietly show up in your darkest hour. Love is there. It just hides behind walls. So how do you heal? You don't tear down the walls all at once. That would feel like chaos. Instead, you open small windows. You test safety. You share one fear with a friend. You lean on someone for one small task. You allow silence with another without running to distraction. Each small act whispers to your nervous system. Connection can be safe, and for those who love someone avoidant, the greatest gift you can give is patience. Pushing them to open up often backfires. What works is consistency, gentleness, presence. Over time, this becomes the soil where trust grows. And maybe this is the lesson avoidance teaches us about culture too. We glorify independence, the lone wolf, the self-made figure who needs no one. But perhaps true strength is not in standing alone. It's in daring to stand together. True courage is not in pushing people away. It's in letting them see us as we are. Because connection is not weakness, it is resilience. Every meaningful bond is built on the courage to be vulnerable. At the end of life, what matters most is not the walls we built, but the moments we dare to let them down. Avoidant attachment shows us how fear shapes us, but also how fear can be overcome. Because here's the deepest truth. Pushing people away may feel like control, but in reality, it is self-abandonment. Every time you silence your longing for closeness, you silence a piece of your humanity. And yet, the longing never dies. It waits, quietly, patiently, for you to choose something new. So perhaps the invitation is this: stay. Stay one moment longer in the discomfort of closeness. Stay when your instinct says withdraw. Stay when your heart begins to close. Over time, staying becomes easier. And each time you stay, you rewrite the story of your attachment. Because intimacy is not the enemy. Vulnerability is not weakness. Connection is not a trap. These are the very things that turn survival into living, loneliness into love, existence into meaning. So if you find yourself pushing people away, remember this: you are not broken. You are not unlovable. You are human, shaped by experiences that once demanded you protect yourself. But now you hold the pen. You have the power to write a new chapter. Loosen the armor, soften the walls. Let love in, one breath at a time. Because avoidant attachment is not just about fear, it is about possibility. The possibility of moving from distance to closeness, from fear to trust, from loneliness to connection. And that possibility lives in you, waiting for the moment you decide to stop pushing away and start letting in.